welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Miranda and I'm a homeschooling mom of two, and I am obsessed with all things books. Today I am filming part 2 of my summer book haul. I did not anticipate it taking this long. I had to cut the last video short because there were simply too many books. I was going to create a 2-hour long video and nobody needs that. So I'm gonna try to do middle grade this time and do YA and adult stuff next video. I'm just filming these in separate parts because there's a lot going on, and I will talk about that a little more towards the end of the video. But I did want to get on here and hopefully put this out fairly soon so the book hauls aren't so far apart. But without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so first up is Stella by Starlight by Sharon M. Draper. This one gets rave reviews all the time, and I've wanted to read it for forever now. I just haven't gotten a chance yet. This is about a young girl and her brother growing up in the segregated South during Jim Crow, and they deal with the Klan and everything that comes about that. And I know it just gets really, really awesome reviews. It is on a bunch of lists about best books on this topic, and I'm very, very excited to read that one. Next up, I've got the modern classic Wonder. I'm sure you've probably read it at this point. I feel like I'm in the minority of people who have not read this yet, but it is about a young boy who has a facial deformity, and he is going to school for the first time after being homeschooled for many years, and it's dealing with accepting those differences and coming into your own despite the differences you have visible to others. And I know people love this book, so excited to see about that one. Next up is The Blackbird Girls, by Anne Blankman. This is about two young girls growing up after the Chernobyl disaster. And I believe it ties into her grandmother and her friend back in the 1940s during World War I. What is wrong with me? World War II. I do know history, believe it or not. I just misspeak a lot. World War II. And drawing parallels between the two friendships. And I was just really intrigued because I don't see a lot of middle grade tackling the post-Chernobyl region or time period. So I'm just very, very interested to see what this one does. Next up is The Magic Fish. This is an awesome, awesome graphic novel. I have already read this one, but I needed to own it. It is so, so beautiful. The illustrations in here are just stunning. Incredible artist. I love this book. This deals with accepting yourself, and it tells a bigger story through storytelling within a story, and it's just really cool. I think it does a really, really great job, and has a lot of inclusive messaging, and I really, really love it. So that one's good. Next, I have The 100 Dresses, the classic. I have not ever read this, believe it or not, and I figured I probably should own a copy. This one, if you haven't read it like myself, is about a girl who wears the same dress every day but claims she has 100 dresses, and people don't believe her, and the story just unfolds, and I am really curious to read it. I know people love it. It's a Newbery winner. I just haven't actually picked it up and gone through it myself yet. Okay, and next is Darwin Arkwright and the Peregrine Pack by A.J. Hartley. I picked this one up because I never heard of it and it sounded really interesting. It's about a boy who moves to Atlanta after living in England, and he discovers a secret world beyond an old mirror, and the world is called Silbrica, and it's a fantasy world full of many unusual creatures and inhabitants, and I guess they're after, some people in this world are after something that human children possess, and it is up to Darwin and his friends to save this world. And I'm very interested. I was kind of surprised I never heard of it. It's got pretty good reviews, and I'm intrigued, so excited to read that. Next up, I did already read this one. This is Seance Tea Party. This is absolutely gorgeous. It's a really, really fun little graphic novel. It is about a young girl who's on the cusp of pre-teenhood, and she's in middle school, and she is adjusting to everyone kind of growing up, or what she considers growing up, and she feels that she's still stuck in childhood and doesn't relate to anybody because she doesn't want to grow up. And she makes a friend with this ghost who lives in her house, and it is just such a cute book, and it has such cute illustrations. The graphic novel designer artist is just so good. I just love it. It's just really, really cute, really well done, and just a really fun light read. So that one's awesome to get on our shelf. This one I've been wanting to read forever. This is Night Diary. I can't tell you how long this has been on my TBR. A long time. But this is in India in the 1940s, after Britain has left and freed India, and the newly independent India is breaking into Pakistan and in what is now India. And it is about a young girl dealing with that big change and life surrounding that. And I am just very, very interested. That's a very big moment in history that is just a very unique experience to cover in a middle grade book. So very, very excited for this. Like I've said, it's been on my TBR forever, so this is high priority for me to actually get to now. Okay, and up next I have Closer to Nowhere by Ellen Hopkins. This is the same author of the Crank series, the YA series that has like a million books in it that you've probably seen for years now. She did write another middle grade book. I'm blanking on what the name of it was, and I did read it and it was good. I just can't for the life of me remember what it was called. But this one is about two cousins who have a very tense relationship, and the struggles they both each individually face. Ellen Hopkins is a really great writer on when it comes to family dynamics and issues and internal angst, and she's just really good at capturing this age group. And so I'm very, very excited to see what she does with this, since YA is typically her genre instead of middle grade. But I was very impressed by her other middle grade work, so always a plus to find a middle grade work that's written in verse. Okay, and up next is Sunshine by Miranda and I'm. This one is about a young boy who's reconnecting with his mom, who he hasn't seen since he was very young, and learning forgiveness and attempting to reestablish a relationship that has been very non-existent and strained for his entire life. And he has a dog who he is very bonded with and aids in their reconnection. So I'm very excited to see that one. Next up, we have Juba by Walter Dean Myers. He is the same author of the YA book Monster, if you're familiar with that. This is about Juba, who is a minstrel singer, and he is over in Europe in 1846. So this is while slavery is still in existence, and it covers his rise in fame, and also deals with the issues about going back to the United States at this time, because free Black men and women are still being captured in the North and being sent to the slave holding South, even if they are by all means free in the North. Slave catchers don't care, and it is just very interesting, a very interesting topic to cover, and I'm really excited to read it. That time period is always very heartbreaking to read for me, and always just so emotional, and I'm just very, very interested to see how this covers it. And Walter Dean Myers is an excellent writer, so this should be very interesting. Next up, this is a new release this year. This is The View from the Very Best House in Town by Miranda and I'm. This is about two friends who go to different schools after being friends at the same school for a very long time, and feel like they're separating, and it all boils down to this house that they've always been interested in and is very mysterious, and one of the friends becomes friends with the kid who lives in this mysterious house, and it deals with that, and I'm intrigued. It does have neurodivergent characters in it, which is awesome, to represent that. So I'm very interested to see where this one goes. Next, I have The Dark 30, Southern Tales of the Supernatural by Patricia McKessick. This one is really high up on my to-read list. I've heard really great things about it. It's short stories that cover, that are inspired by, I should say, African-American history, spanning from slavery to, I believe, the Jim Crow South and Civil Rights era. And I know it's really well done from everything I've heard, and I have read little snippets of it. But I am very excited to read this. I can only imagine how easy it is to make horror stories out of the South at that time, so it's a really interesting way to portray a history, and so that's really interesting. Excited to read that. Next, I have Amina's Voice by Hina Khan. This is all about finding your own voice. She is a Muslim girl, and her mosque is vandalized, and she, has to deal with the emotional impact that has, as well as typical preteen drama in her friends group and everything. And I'm very excited to see this one. I know people seem to love this. I just haven't read it yet, so we'll see how that one is. Okay, and up next is A Place to Belong by Cynthia Katahata. This is the same author of Kira Kira. If you read that, that was a Newbery winner. This is about a girl who is in post-World War II, so post-Japanese internment camps in the US, and it tackles life post-internment camp and dealing with everything that comes with that, repercussions, and culture shock, and what life was like after dealing with that horrific experience for 2 years. So I was really intrigued by it because, first off, I hadn't ever heard of it, and second, because I do see a bit of novels that deal with Japanese internment, but not so much dealing with life after Japanese internment, and because it's not just like, all the hatred and xenophobia and everything, racism went away. That was all still there. The internment camps just went away. So I found it very interesting because that was a very real reality for a lot of people. And so I'm very excited to see how this tackles that. Alright, I've loved this book since I read it a while ago. I just finally picked it up and bought it. This is Prairie Lotus by Linda Sue Park. Linda Sue Park is amazing. I love basically everything she writes, but this one is particularly good. This is about a young girl who is the daughter of a Chinese woman and a white man, and it deals with the discriminatory community that she deals with when her and her father moved to this, I believe it's Midwestern town during the westward expansion era. And it is just really good at exploring that. It's not something that is frequently explored, especially in middle grade, dealing with how Asian Americans were treated at the time, which, spoiler alert, horribly. But it is really interesting. In her author's note, she was talking about how she wrote this kind of as a reconciliation of realizing how horrible Little House on the Prairie is at dealing with people from other cultures, whether it's Native Americans, Indigenous peoples, or frankly African Americans, or anyone else that they portrayed on there. And as an adult looking back, as someone who read Little House on the Prairie as a kid, it's awful. The treatment, especially of Native Americans in it, is just not good. And yeah, anyway, she wrote this as kind of a way to include people of color in those stories because they were there. They very much contributed to American society at the time, regardless of how well represented or lack thereof they are in literature and history books. And it just did it really, really well. This was just amazing execution. Like I said, she's just an incredible writer, so I had to get this one on our shelf. Next, I don't know how I didn't already own this one. This was Bridget Terabithia by Catherine Patterson. I'm not even going to go into what it's about because I think most all of you already know, and it's heartbreaking, but I had to get that classic on our shelf. Next, I have Primates. This is a graphic novel covering the science and contributions to evolutionary biology of Diane Fossey, Jane Goodall, and others. And it just is really well done at portraying their lives and their work and what we learned from their studies. And it was just really cool. I really, really enjoyed this one. Next, we have The Train to Impossible Places by P.G. Bell. I had never heard of this one, ever. And I came across it on the used bookstore shelf, and I just had to get it because the only description on the book is these little lines right here. And all it says is, a train that travels through impossible places, a boy trapped in a snow globe, and a girl who's about to go on the adventure of a lifetime. That's all they give you, and I was very intrigued. So I'm excited to read this one and see what that's all about. Next, I have the Egypt game. I know this one's very well known. This is a Newbery Honor book as well. And I know this is about a group of kids who are all interested in ancient Egypt, and they play a game and wear costumes and pretend they're in ancient Egypt and have a secret code. And then things begin to happen to the players of this game. So I'm excited to finally get my hands on that one. Next, I have The Sign of the Beaver. This is yet another one that people swear by and I have not read yet. Yet another Newbery book. This is a survival story in the 1700s, exploring the relationships between white settlers and Native Americans. And I am very intrigued by that because that's a subject I'm always drawn to. So yeah, I'm very excited to see where this one goes. Up next is El Deffo by C.C. Bell. This is a really well done graphic novel dealing with a student who moves from an all-deaf school to the general public school, and dealing with wearing the hearing aid and being othered in school and among their peers. And it is yet another Newbery book. I seem to have a trend this book haul for whatever reason, but it is really well done. Really awesome for inclusive messaging for disabilities, and I really like it. So I had to get this one on our shelf for sure. Next up is Some Kind of Happiness by Claire Legrand. I went into extensive detail on this when I covered this on what I'm reading in a prior video. It is really good. It covers a young girl who goes to live with her estranged family for the summer, and she realizes through the friendship she makes and the experience she has is that she has pretty major severe depression. And it is really good at covering depression, especially in a preteen demographic, and in a way that explains it in a way that that age group would understand and identify with, and normalizing the topic. So I really love this book. It does such a good job with that. That isn't very common in a middle grade book. So was super happy to find that one. Next, I have Wink by Rob Harrell. This is based on his own experiences growing up. He got a rare cancer and in his eye, so it's rare eye cancer, and it deals with his experience in school being labeled the cancer kid, and everything that comes with that, and I've heard really great things about it, so I am very excited to read that one. Next up, I have When You Trap a Tiger by Tay Keller. This is incredible. I absolutely adore this book. It deals with loss and coming into your own very well. Just really excellent writing. Tay Keller is an exceptional writer, and this one was very impressive. So highly recommend you add that one as well. Next I got As Brave as You by Jason Reynolds. I hadn't read this one by him yet, so I was very excited. This is about a boy who goes to live with his grandparents in Virginia in the summer, and he doesn't really want to. Frankly, I just picked it up because it was Jason Reynolds, because he never disappoints. So honestly, I've yet to find a book by him that I'm not impressed by, so excited to see what that one all is. Next, I have We're Not From Here by Jeff Rodkey, and this one just seemed fun. It was about aliens and this boy who is trying to convince them that humankind should survive, and it just seemed very different, very quirky, and it seemed like something I should probably have on my shelf. So that's fun. Next up is Wish by Barbara O'Connor. This one has been going around. I've seen on Goodreads, and I wanted to pick it up and see for myself. It is about a girl who goes to live with a new family and develops a strong bond with this stray dog, and I'm very curious about it because it gets incredible reviews, so I'm gonna read that very soon and hopefully can share my opinions on that later. Next, I have See You in the Cosmos by Jack Chang. This one I've heard a lot about and yet know nothing about it other than a boy goes on a road trip to share with, was it extraterrestrials, what Earth is like, I believe. I've heard a lot of good reviews, so I don't doubt that it's great, so interested to see where that one goes. Next up, I have Black Brother by Joel Parker Rhodes. This one is one I've been wanting to read forever as well. It's about two brothers. One is lighter skinned than the other one, and it kind of deals with what that means societally in their school and how their lives differ from that. And I am very curious to see where it goes. I know Joel Parker Rhodes is an incredible author, so I don't doubt this will be awesome. So I'm very curious about this one, and hopefully we'll read it very soon. And next I picked up Feathers by Jacqueline Woodson. Jacqueline Woodson basically can write anything and I'll read it, so I haven't read this one yet, so I had to pick that one up. Next is Starry River of the Sky. This one's by Grace Lynn. If you've read Where the Mountain Meets the Moon, sorry, I'm jumbling over my words, it is very late. If you've read Where the Mountain Meets the Moon, this is the same author. Yet another one I'll pretty much buy whatever she writes, so I'm excited to see where that one goes as well. Then I have Ghosts of Green Glass House by Kate Milford. I read the first one in this series. I have not yet read this sequel, so I am intrigued because the first one is very interesting, so I'm excited about that. Then this one I actually have already read. This is Genesis Begins Again by Alicia D. Williams. This one was very good. It deals with a young girl who struggles to accept her skin color and being darker than most of her friends and schoolmates, and even in her own family. And it is just very, very powerful, very moving, hard to read at times in a good way because it's so well written, but it's very emotional, and I really, really liked it. So I think this is a really important read, and I'm really glad to own it. Okay, so that wraps up all the middle grade I got from this summer haul. A lot in there I'm really, really excited about, excited to read. I do still have a huge stack of YA and adult fiction that I will get to in the next video, because it would just make this way too long. But before I go, I did want to share a little homeschool update for you all, just to keep you guys in the loop. So if you are a follower of mine on Instagram, you probably already have heard, but I have some exciting news in my own life. So this fall, I will be returning to college myself and going back to school. It is something I really hadn't planned on. If you don't know me personally, I went to college out of high school, and when I was entering my junior year, I kind of had a crisis of identity, and what I was studying just didn't make me happy anymore. I wasn't passionate about it. I just completed an internship, and I kind of realized this ain't it. If you're a Gilmore Girls fan, think about when Rory dropped out of Yale. That's kind of how it went. I just didn't see myself in that field anymore. It didn't mesh with what I wanted for my life, and I just did not see how staying in a very, very rigorous STEM program, degree program, would make sense for me. So I was living with my then boyfriend, who is my now husband, and I just dropped out. I got a job, and life went on from there. I got married. I started my own photography business. If you didn't know that about me, I am a ex-wedding photographer before I had my son, and yeah, I had kids, and I just really got passionate about homeschooling, and that's kind of where I saw my life going. I knew homeschooling was what I wanted to dedicate my time to, and college wasn't on my radar, a career wasn't on my radar, anything. So I was okay with that. So I was totally fine with just being a stay-at-home mom and homeschooling, and that was that. But within the last few months, even, I would say, I kind of started to get this feeling like I wanted to do something new. And that happened to be library science. Libraries have always been a very big part of my life. I've literally gone to them since as long as I can remember. My mom says since I was 2, but my first memories always include libraries. I grew up in story times. I grew up in summer reading programs. I've been to every library in every town I've ever lived in, and maxed out my library cards more than I can say, and it's just always been a part of my life. And I didn't really put any more thought into it than that, other than I go a lot and I read a lot. But I kind of came to this realization partly because of homeschooling my kids, since I'm always there, and also because of everything going on in the world when it comes to censorship of libraries and the books that they are allowed to have both in schools and in public libraries, and the backlash librarians have been facing for having inclusive materials in their catalogs. I kind of realized, like, that's it. I need to be a part of that. And it's everything I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about reading. I'm passionate about social justice. I'm passionate about being inclusive to all communities and providing a space that is safe. And you know, it just clicked. It made sense. And just kind of honestly, I blame this on my ADHD and my impulsion, but I kind of just decided in one night, like, I'm gonna do this. Like, this is what I want to do. And to kind of come to that conclusion, I kind of had to reconcile these two identities, right? Because homeschooling has been such a big part of my identity, and being a mom and stay-at-home mom, that it is very easy for all moms, especially homeschool moms, those with how much we're with our kids and how much time and energy we put into their education. It's very easy to put yourself in a box and say, I'm a homeschooler and this is all I am. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. It's a very nice box to be in and one I enjoy being in. But you can have other boxes that you can fill. It doesn't have to be the only one. And I kind of realized, like, yes, homeschooling is a very big passion of mine. It is something that is going to occupy a good chunk of my life. But when this is over, when my kids are grown, and they're in college, in their own careers, whatever, I want something that can be mine and feel like I'm contributing positively to and feel passionate about. And this is it for me, I think. I'm being very excited, honestly. It doesn't change anything as terms of homeschooling. I'm still very much passionate about homeschooling. I'm still planning on homeschooling all the way through high school for my kids. It's just going to be an adjustment because I have obviously never been a student while I've homeschooled, but I've also never worked while I've homeschooled. And I know lots of people do it. It's just going to be quite an adjustment for me. So if you have any recommendations, please drop them in the comments below because I am more than happy to hear your advice. Because this is a new realm that I have never experienced, and it's an exciting, scary, scary step, but one I think is well worth it. And so I just wanted to share that with you guys. I'm first going back to finish my bachelor's, which will only take a few semesters because I'm very, very close to finishing. My degree is now sociology instead of biology, which nearly killed me the first time around. But sociology is very much more up my alley and interest, so that's good. And then once I finish that program, the same college I go to offers a graduate program in library and information science, and that's where I will earn my master's and enter the library world from there. And I'm so excited, so looking forward to see where this takes me, because like I said, it's just something that, you know, I feel is something beyond homeschooling that just brings me a lot of joy, and something I think will be really impactful for other people. And I am so excited to bring that to other people, the love of reading and learning without any expectations in return, and just everything I'm passionate about. So sorry, that was kind of a rambling little update, but yeah, I just wanted to keep you guys updated as to why I might be a little more absent on my channel and on Instagram than normal. I used to post daily on Instagram. That ain't happening anymore. With a full course load and 2 young kids and homeschooling, daily isn't gonna happen. But I still will try to keep as active as I can and post on YouTube as much as I can. YouTube is a bit harder because I have to film at night. Because that's the only time my kids are both asleep at the same time. So yeah, so hopefully that book haul and little update wasn't too rambling. I don't really edit my videos very much, so just speed through whatever is too boring. But I will be back very soon, hopefully, for the rest of these books to cover my YA section of this haul. And otherwise, you can go check me out on Instagram, and I will see you very soon. Bye-bye.